Okay, next question. Hey Maria, I know you're much more advanced in the badassery department. So that you do loads of different things at once and not just focus on one thing. I'm curious on how does writing affect introversion? I'm curious on how does writing affect introversion? I'm full-time writing a book right now, and I've noticed that I'm much more physically tired. I feel more spent. The other day I was sitting with my neighbors who were sharing and venting, and usually I can hold space for people in those situations, but this time I just couldn't. As they were talking, I zoned out and wanted to tell them to shut up. My whole body was exhausted by the experience. I seem lazy because I'm just writing and not putting anything out. I feel bad that my friends tire me out and I'm feeling like a bit of an outsider. Is this normal? Yes, is the short answer. It's normal. So you're an INFP, question masker. I know you. So from that perspective, thank you for the badassery comment. I mean, yes, that's true. It's true. I do focus on a lot of different things at once, but I've gotten there by building it slowly and safely and over time. Okay, so please don't anyone kind of compare yourselves and your abilities to go from writing into something else to somebody who's been doing it for years and years and years. If you've just started, yes, you're now doing this. Yes, absolutely, you're now writing full time. So sure, you're now writing. But if this is your first book you're writing or first piece of a considerable amount of writing, you're still not used to the kind of what it is, what it actually is that writing is. And to me, and I think to a lot of introverts, other introverts as well, writing is a certain level of state of flow, competing with the outside influences and our own thought patterns about the writing. So what I mean by that is that when we are there alone with the page, it's so much easier to just be there with the page, put down the stuff when nobody else is influencing your process. Now, there are going to be times when your process is going to be influenced within the writing practice and outside of it. So you're talking about, the other spending time with other people and you're already tired and so on. But also I want to highlight the inner dialogue that can come with us, the kind of the fears and considerations about, is what you have to say really that important? Should you be doing this? Like, who am I to write this? Will anybody benefit from this at all? Am I just indulging in myself? Like all those things, all those internal dialogues that come out from just, not that have been outside influences in your past, and they've given you these thought patterns. So, but we're not focusing on that specifically. We're focusing on, writing and the introverted process that takes us into, as well as how do we then kind of exist in the outside world, because we are so focused in this inner, some would call introverted process of writing. So you were saying they were talking, I was zoning out, wanted to tell them to shut up. It's quite possible that because when you write, you're already thinking about things so much, your brain capacity is being used so much that when you are outside of writing, it would be good to do things that are quiet. And that's why something like this can be really exhausting. If you've been writing, even 1,000 words a day, but you're learning how to write, so you're using a lot of your mental faculties to do that, then getting out there into the world and, being around people who seem to have a lot to say and want our attention, that can be really draining. So something I want to pick up on, because you mentioned it in your question, is that you said that you're lazy, there's no output. I want to challenge that, because thinking actually takes a lot of energy. So physiologically, thinking takes a lot of energy, and as such, writing takes a lot of energy as well. So if you think about writing 1,000 words, and let's just say that for some people who are really fluent, it takes 15 minutes to half an hour to write 1,000 words. For some people who are not used to writing, it can take 2 hours or 3 hours to get 1,000 words down. Now, if you think about writing as an exercise, a form of exercise that uses energy, then you can say, today I've been exercising for 15 minutes or half an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. And if you exercise for 3 hours a day, you are spent, you are tired, you are physically tired because you've been using energy to do those things. So we often think that office work and writing and all those kinds of things, they're nothing, but they are, and they are a lot of all kinds of things that take energy. We underestimate what it is that we're doing when we're writing or creating something else, some other content, or doing videos, or being at work, answering the phone, talking to people. We don't realize that it can take as much energy, physiological energy, as exercising for the same amount of time. So if you wonder why you're tired at the end of an 8-hour working day, it's because you've been using a lot of energy. Now, in those situations, exercise can give you, actual physiological exercise can give you energy, but it's because you're doing something different than what you've been doing for 8 hours. So when you get into these situations, and this is something that I certainly do regularly throughout my day, and that's why I'm able to take my focus from one thing and put it into another, and take it away from that and then put it into something else, is because I do varying things. I don't do the same thing a lot of the time. So, for example, I could write from 5 until 8 in the morning. And that's because I've been doing it for a really long time. So I'm not saying everybody should be doing this. I'm saying I can write from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. every morning. And at 8 a.m., I need to get off that chair and out there in nature. So 8 a.m. to about 9 a.m., I take the DOGs out for WALK. I can't say the words because they're right there. So otherwise we'll have some kind of a circus started. So really, we are looking at just learning to change from one form of being into another. So I stop my internal dialogue about the writing, about the content, about work, and I focus on just loving my DOGs and taking them out and relaxing in nature. I might listen to some other person's work, like a podcast or something that takes me away from my own work completely. So I make sure that throughout the day, every couple of hours, I change what I'm doing so that I'm not exhausting certain faculties within me too much. So what you could do with this is, first of all, recognize that you are not just writing. There's no such thing as just writing. It's a big deal, and it will take a lot of your energy. 2, as an INFP, you have the inward 10-year-old inner child, your inward sensing, who stores things into your cellular memory. So when you write and you bring your wisdom from your past into what you're writing right now, your cellular memory, your physiological cellular memory in every part of your body is going to be activated, which means that you're going to get like a full body massage by just referring back to what happened and examining it. And you're going to feel exhausted after that. So that's number 2. Number 3, proactively look for situations where you can almost like debrief your writing before you move on to something else, so that you normalize the writing, so that you realize the writing, so the writing becomes real and it's a real thing, and that your friends know that it's a big part of you and what you're doing right now. So don't be afraid to bring yourself into those situations. Very, very important to bring yourself into those situations, because you're part of that group of people. You're just as important as anything else that anybody else wants to talk about. So those would be the 3 things that I would focus on this. So I hope that helps. And yeah, I hope that helps. I'd love to hear if that helps you. And anybody else who's kind of tuning into that and saying, yeah, you know what, I always thought that I wasn't doing anything, but I felt like I was doing this massive output, but I didn't see any results. It's because you haven't started the editing process yet. You haven't started to share it with other people yet. So it's still really internal process. So you might be fooling yourself into thinking that you're not doing much, but you are actually doing a lot. So I'd love to hear your reflections on that. Thanks for the question.